Before you fall in love with a house in Winston-Salem, you need to understand something crucial. It can change a lot from block to block. Two homes at the same price can put you in totally different lifestyles. And after working 22 years in this field, which basically just says I'm really old, I can tell most people who move here don't realize that until after they close. So today, I'll help you avoid ending up in the wrong area for you and walk you through some of the best spots that Winston-Salem has to offer. Let's go. So, while downtowns across America are struggling with vacancy and decline, Winston-Salem's urban core is seeing real momentum. The Innovation Quarter has transformed 330 acres of old tobacco warehouses into a busy biomedical and tech hub. And it's bringing serious energy to the city center. This is walkable, urban living with modern restaurants and nightlife and artsy spots all within walking distance. You're looking at converted lofts and historic tobacco buildings alongside new high-rise towers. Pretty nice. And the 4th Street corridor has become the main dining and entertainment strip, with everything from Moselle's fresh Southern Bistro in West End to new spots opening up all the time. Bailey Park hosts free concerts as well as some of the breweries, and you've got the Stevens Center for world-class performances from UNCSA students, where my wife went to school. Speaking prices now, condos and lofts downtown typically run in the high 300s and up. However, some newer high-rise spots range from the 600s and up. Walking score here is in the high 70s, feels a lot better to be honest, and you're a short commute from the Innovation Quarter jobs, so you can handle basically daily life without a car. But there's a big but here. There is construction noise from the ongoing Phase 2 expansion, paving the way for up to 2.7 million square feet of space. And parking is now mostly metered or garage parking. So, street noise from bars and restaurants is real as well, especially on the weekends. I'll get back to this later on, and you'll see why it's so important. So, who does this work best for? Well, if you're a young professional working in the quarter, a remote worker who values urban amenities over space, or someone who loves the artsy scene, downtown delivers. You're trading square footage for location and walkability. In my experience, both young professionals and empty nesters are loving it. Now, let me tell you about Northwest Winston-Salem, which really means like the Northwest Corridor. When you think about it on a clock, it's from like 9:30 to 6 p.m. This is classic suburban Winston-Salem with mature trees, established neighborhoods, and some of the strongest school ratings in the city. Places like Sherwood Forest, Mount Tabor, and the Country Club area define this part of town. You're looking at homes built in the mid-20th century on larger lots with established suburban feel. It's really a great vibe. The Country Club area runs in the low 400s, showing that old money stability. Mount Tabor sits high on the ground with custom estates surrounded by woods, and it's close to parks and hiking and biking. Sherwood Forest keeps that strong community identity with well-kept properties on big lots. Schools drive demand here. Reagan High School in Paughtown area ranks as one of the top schools in all of Forsyth County and even the state year after year. Mount Tabor High delivers strong AP programs and competitive sports. The school quality makes that Northwest Winston super attractive to families, and you'll see that in both demand and pricing. Homes typically sell in the mid-3s to low 500s, depending on the specific neighborhood, with the Northwest area hitting around the 500s and above. So you can still find great value here. Speaking of which, that's the exact kind of thing I specialize in. So if you need any help finding those amazing opportunities in Winston-Salem, shoot me an email or a text. My contact's in the screen of the description box below. I'll be waiting for your message. Don't leave me hanging. Now, back to speaking about the north area. You're about 10 to 20 minutes from downtown via University Parkway, which is super manageable. And you'll get larger homes on lots compared to downtown or the south areas. See, the tree canopy creates this nice, polished look, but you're very car dependent for almost all activities. So some pockets have aging infrastructure that maybe needs some attention. Older homes often need updates and maintenance, and the higher price points can limit what's available as well. So make sure you understand these caveats. And if you're looking for something with a slightly lower price tag, I got just the spot for you. Here's where it gets interesting. East Winston-Salem, roughly in that 1:30 to 3 o'clock on the big old clock, stretching towards Kernersville basically, is the most affordable part of the greater Winston-Salem area. But affordability doesn't mean you should automatically avoid it. It just means that you need to understand the trade-offs. I'll let you know what some of those are in a minute. Now, the northeast area has a median price in the upper 200s to low 300s, and that's below the citywide median. Towns like Walkertown and Rural Hall give you larger homes and land for prices that would only buy you a much smaller starter home in the north and west areas. Walkertown Community Park has lots of recreation space, and the schools in the area are key community anchors. Infrastructure is improving here too. The Winston-Salem Northern Beltway is under construction, pretty much almost finished in this side of town. And the eastern segment between 52 and 311 is going to be done in 2026. So that will dramatically limit the commute and improve how you get around. That means areas like Walkertown and Rural Hall, currently the most affordable, are set up for fantastic future growth and access improvement. Here are the challenges, because that's true for everything, everywhere. Your commute to downtown right now runs 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the time of day and where you're looking to go exactly. The shopping and dining options are a little more limited compared to the west and south areas, and school quality also varies more specifically by location. So you'll want to do your research on exact addresses. And right now, you're dealing with construction traffic and headaches from the ongoing Beltway work. But before we talk about East Winston works for, let me show you South Winston-Salem. The hospital's proximity there creates completely different lifestyles. South Winston-Salem runs roughly 5 to 7:30 on the clock, and it's defined by one big reality. You're right next to the two major hospital systems. Atrium Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center employs over 20,000 people system-wide and sits on the northeast kind of center of the clock, while Novant Forsyth Medical Center is just a couple miles south, both residing in Ardmore. This is the largest residential neighborhood in Winston-Salem with over 4,300 homes. If you're looking for bungalows with character and walkable streets and a strong community identity, I'll break that down for you. The main commercial strip, South Hawthorne Road, has local favorites like Ardmore Coffee and Cafe Arthur's. Miller Park has tennis courts, playgrounds, baseball fields, soccer fields right in the smack middle of Ardmore. The walkability factor is real. Ardmore homes typically sell anywhere from 200s and up, but the average is probably right in the mid-3s. West Salem balances urban lifestyle with neighborhood stability, giving you shops, parks, and restaurants all within walking distance. These pockets have a real pedestrian setup with sidewalks and crosswalks, something you won't find in most suburban areas. You're something 5 to 7 minutes from downtown, depending on your exact location, which is super convenient. Hospital proximity cuts both ways. If you work at Wake Forest Baptist, which is Forsyth's largest employer, by the way, your commute is basically nothing. The academic medical center really attracts quality professionals, but shift changes are usually in that 7 to 8 a.m. or 3 to 4 p.m. and the late shift 10 to 11 creates predictable traffic on South Hawthorne Road. Parking in the walkable areas gets a little tight. Here, older homes require some ongoing maintenance and updates. Also, the community is kind of more transient since medical professionals move for training and positions. If you're a medical professional or hospital employee, though, Ardmore should be at the top of your list. If you're not, don't worry, I got you covered. Here's what I tell people. If you're moving to Winston-Salem with a family or focused on schools, space, and possibly new construction, you'll probably end up looking at the west side of town. This includes Clemens, Louisville, and even further out to Advance in Davie County. It's where a lot of folks moving here end up, and there's a good reason why. First up, Clemens. This is a classic suburb. It's about 10 minutes, mostly west, 8 to 9 o'clock on the clock from downtown, and has a mix of established neighborhoods and active new construction. The west suburban area has a median price in the range of upper 4s, low 5s. And you'll get newer homes with modern systems, larger lots than you'd find in the north or south areas, and really good value for the space. Tanglewood Park is the big recreational draw. It's a huge area with 2 championship golf courses, an aquatic center with pool and slides, a BMX track, a dog park, horseback riding, and mountain bike trails. Great fun everywhere. Now, Louisville sits just north of Clemens, just basically northwest, if you will. It has a smaller town feel with strong community preservation compared to Clemens' commercial growth. Joni Moser Memorial Park features 9 pickleball courts, which tells you something about the active adult and family crowd here. Homes often run slightly more affordable than in Clemens while keeping similar school quality. You're looking at anywhere from the high 300s all the way up into the 7 figures because per capita, 023 has the highest luxury living. So it just depends on the neighborhood. Advance goes even further west into Davie County. This is a quieter, more rural country living with some serious golf course access. Bermuda Run, Oak Valley, and Tanglewood courses make this a perfect spot for golf lovers and retirees who want recreation and a slower pace. You're still only 10, tops 15 minutes from Clemens or even downtown and shopping and dining, so you'll get this rural atmosphere with suburban convenience nearby. And the family appeal is obvious in this area. Top-rated schools throughout the West draw lots of families. Newer construction means you're not immediately facing maintenance issues, and larger lots give kids room to play. However, there's a hidden warning here, and I'll tell you what it is a little bit later on. The growing retail in Clemens, including big box stores, cuts down on driving into Winston-Salem for anything you might need. Multiple route options via 421 or I-40 give you flexibility, and some southern developments add only 4 to 5 minutes to that downtown commute. However, let's get real. The suburban trade-offs are real. You're car dependent for basically almost all daily activities, and your commute could go anywhere from 20 to over 30 minutes, depending on where exactly you live in these communities. If you work at the hospitals in South Winston-Salem, well, that distance can add up. Also, ongoing construction in newer subdivisions creates temporary misses, which is pretty common for these growing spots. The classic suburban character means you don't get the walkable urban design of downtown or Ardmore or West Salem either. And while the dining and nightlife scene is improving, it's still developing compared to downtown's setup. So, depending on the type of person you are, well, you might get bored easily. And before I tell you about my personal picks for the different kinds of priorities, let me give you some key warnings that lots of people just completely miss. First, let's talk about the commute and bottlenecks that shock people moving here. So the biggest one, the I-40 and 52 interchange, is the main concern. Rush hour, basically between 7 and 8:45 a.m. or 3 to 5:30 p.m., creates these bad backups, especially eastbound and with merging traffic. People report, 10-15 minute delays beyond their normal travel time, which to some sounds like nothing, but trust me, when you get here, well, traffic is rare. The Salem Parkway near Peters Creek is another mess where traffic suddenly drops from 65 to 55 and vehicles merging from multiple directions. Here's what's important. The Winston-Salem Northern Beltway will eventually help with these bottlenecks by giving you a bypass route. It won't be done until probably the early 2030s, but the eastern segment is basically done now. So when the western segment starts, well, it will change everything. Funding did get pushed. However, it realistically is not going to start before 2030. Right now, you're dealing with the construction mess without getting the full benefit. And here's another layer to living here too. The Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system includes magnet schools with specialized programs and competitive admission. But just because a neighborhood looks good doesn't automatically mean you're assigned to the top-rated school. You need to check the exact elementary, middle, and high school feeder and pattern for any specific address you're considering. Very important. Construction around the Innovation Corridor Phase 2 affects downtown noise and access. If you're looking at properties in or near downtown, understand that this is a multi-year development. Project is going to add over 1 million square feet of clinical office and lab space. That's great for the long-term growth and property values, but it will create some disruption. Now, let me share what I think suits you best, well, depending on what you value most. So, what would I do if this were my decision? For walkability, downtown wins, followed closely by Ardmore and West Salem and Washington Park in the South Winston-Salem area. You're looking at a real pedestrian setup where you can handle daily errands on foot. That higher walk score actually, it means something here. For families focused on schools, I'd look at the Northwest Winston-Salem area, especially the areas feeding into Reagan High School, or the west suburbs of Clemens and Louisville. The established school quality and community stability makes these areas worth the extra cost. For new construction, that western side of Clemens, Louisville, and Advance have the most active subdivisions, as does the Northwest Corridor within Forsyth County, just a little further out. You're getting modern finishes, current building standards, and a newer setup. For the best values, East Winston-Salem, no doubt, especially for that northeast areas like Walkertown and Rural Hall. It gives you the most house for the money. With the Beltway construction moving forward, these areas are set up for future growth and commute times will most definitely be improving. For long-term stability, here's the thing. North Carolina is growing really fast, and Winston-Salem benefits from that big picture trend. All areas have basic growth support. Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. reports 92 active economic development projects representing 20+ million in new investments and a massive pipeline of over 11 billion in potential investments, plus 18,000 potential new jobs. That rising tide lifts all boats over time, and the time to invest is right now. At the end of the day, Winston-Salem's 5 areas give you dramatically different lifestyles at dramatically different price points. The house might look perfect online, but if you buy in the wrong area for you, well, you might just regret it. But don't worry, you can absolutely avoid that, and I want to help. Just give me a shout at blake@theginthergroup.com today, and let's chat about your lifestyle and your family priorities and all of it. And if you want to go deeper into what living in Winston-Salem is actually like, check out the video I've got linked on the screen. It breaks down the real pros and cons of the area, and you can make a better decision about moving if you have this information. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.